Ladies and gentlemen, now that the Nintendo Switch 2 has been out for quite a while, not too long, but a little while, all those arguments and rumors and questions about the console not being powerful enough, or we're not going to get those next generation, or I guess would be current generation games, and if we do, they're not going to look good, all of that is thrown out the window. So in this video, I thought it would be fun to go over what I think are the 10 most impressive Switch 2 games so far. And let me tell you right away, this list was so hard to pick, just only 10, because I would add some, take some off, put some back on, add some other ones. But for right now, these are the definitive 10 games that I think kind of show off what the Switch 2 is capable of and what it's all about. So let's go ahead and get right into this video. Like I was saying, picking 10 is almost impossible, because I would add this one, but then I would have to take this one off. But then I would want to add this one, so I would have to take another one off. But I think if you were to ask the question, what is the Switch 2 even about? These 10 games would describe that perfectly, right? So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, that would truly mean the world to me. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter so we can keep our communities growing. And let's go and get right into this one. So the first game I want to talk about is Resident Evil Requiem, or Resident Evil 9. And this is a game that kind of inspired this list, because what are we doing here, right? This is on the Switch 2. It's not a cloud version. It came out day one, like the same day as all the other consoles, and it looks and runs incredibly well. What are they doing over there at Capcom? I gotta say, magic might be a real thing, because they had to work some magic to get this quality on. You have to remember, a handheld console. Yes, the Switch 2 is a hybrid console. It's also a home console, but it's also a handheld console. And the fact that you can play this brand new game and it looks and runs the way it does, handheld, on the go. Well, you might not be on the go, but you could be on the go. You could be on a train, or you could be at home. It doesn't matter. I'm not here to judge where you're at playing this game. All I'm saying is you could play this wherever you would like. And I don't want that to be overlooked and overshadowed. Like, yeah, the Switch was great, but the Switch 2 is such a huge leap above the Switch. And Resident Evil Requiem is proof of that, right? And a bunch of other games we're going to talk about in this video as well, but it is just so damn impressive. Now, another game I cannot believe is on the Switch 2, and you're going to hear me say this over and over in this video, but Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Not only is this on the Switch 2, in June we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming over, and that's even crazier than Remake coming over. Then allegedly we're getting Part 3 as well, day one I think on the Switch 2, which is, I can't even imagine how much work that's going to take. But you have to keep in mind something here. Let's go back to Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. A lot of people were saying, well, it's a PS4 game. I hope it can run on the Switch 2. And that's a fair argument, right? But you're forgetting something here. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is the PlayStation 5 version. So this is a PS5 port that we have on the Switch 2. And I mean, do you have eyeballs? Can you see the quality of this? Not only is this running on the Switch 2, it is running beautifully on the Switch 2. And if the Switch 2 is your only way to experience this game, and then Rebirth, and then Part 3, I would say you're in good hands, right? I beat this game and Rebirth on my PlayStation 5. I started this back up on my Switch 2, and I'm sure I'm biased, and I can admit that. But it's like, this is the only way I want to play this game now. So one of my favorite games of all time is Cyberpunk 2077. Again, this is a game I beat on my PlayStation 5, and then I beat the DLC as well over there. And I knew I was going to pick this up for my Switch 2. I just had to, but I thought, the novelty is you can play this on the go. The game and the DLC is on the cartridge. It's definitely going to be a lesser experience, and you're probably going to want to go back and play it on your PS5 again. But let's just support CD Projekt Red, and let's try this out. I'm not saying this for the sake of this video. I'm not lying or stretching the truth. If I want to play Cyberpunk at all now, I'm only playing on my Nintendo Switch 2 moving forward. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I put like 90 hours into this on the PS5. On the Switch 2, it is one of the few games I have 100% completed everything you could possibly do in my entire life, right? I did every mission, every side mission, every hidden quest, bought every car, all the outfits you could pretty much buy, drove everywhere, found all these little hidden Easter eggs. I did everything you could possibly do over like 130 hours. Playing this game on my Nintendo Switch 2 handheld is one of my favorite gaming memories of all time. So a game that initially looked like it was not going to be great on the Switch 2 was Star Wars Outlaws. I think we seen Ubisoft show this off at a hands-on event, and it was a little rough around the edges. And then they said, don't worry, we're working on it. But it's Ubisoft, so there was not that much faith in what they were saying. But I am very happy that they turned this one around, because again, this is just incredible on the Switch 2. Not only did they make an incredible port, but just as far as like the technical aspect of it, they knocked this one out of the park, or out into the universe. Get it? Star Wars universe? I hope you're following me along at home here. It's incredible. It really is, right? This is a massive open world Star Wars game where you're flying around the galaxy. There's so much stuff going on the screen. The game, like the aesthetic of it and the art style, I think looks amazing. Maybe the gameplay and the actual story is not for you, and that's fair. You know what I mean? Not every game is for everybody. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I'll admit, like, the story of this one doesn't really suck me in that much. But as far as an impressive game goes on the Switch 2, this one easily deserves a spot in this list. And a great thing about Ubisoft on the Switch 2 is, like, not only are they putting out these amazing ports, they're continuously updating them and supporting them, and that's just a great thing to see. So if Star Wars Outlaws is impressive because it's an open world game where you can fly around the galaxy, well, what about an open world game or open universe game where I guess you can fly around an entire universe that is ever expanding? No Man's Sky was already an impressive port on the Switch. Like, to be honest, it was kind of an underrated port, but this has an official Nintendo Switch 2 edition. I believe this came day one, and in my opinion, this is the ultimate way to play No Man's Sky now, because let's just simplify this. You're able to play a game that is never ending, that you can fly around an ever expanding universe, and you can do that handheld. It just seems like something that should not exist, and if it does exist, there's got to be a catch somewhere, but that's just not the case here. No Man's Sky has been out for almost 10 years, and over those 10 years, they have transformed this game into something that is just so incredible. They continuously add DLC and updates. It seems like almost every couple of months, and all of that is 100% free. So now when people ask me, like, Switch 2 games that they should get, or Switch 2 games they can spend a lot of time in, I always recommend No Man's Sky, because in theory, it is a game that you could play forever and always find something new to do. So obviously in this video we're going to be talking about a lot of third-party ports, but I also have to mention Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the Switch 2 editions, already on the Switch. You know, these are masterpieces, some of the greatest open world games of all time, but on the Switch 2, they almost feel like entirely new games. I beat Breath of the Wild 4 times, and I also beat Tears of the Kingdom, but Tears of the Kingdom felt like a chore on the Switch for whatever reason. So that was one of the first games I played on my Switch 2, and on my Nintendo Switch 2, like the Switch 2 edition, I could not stop playing Tears of the Kingdom. I spent like 110 hours into it, and I had to force myself to stop playing it because there were so many other games. It's like, dude, you've already played this, but it was so beautiful, so much that I would just stop and look around multiple times. Easily one of the best things Nintendo has ever created, and arguably just some of the greatest games of all time. So whatever these were on the Switch, now on the Switch 2, I don't even think there's real words to explain how impressive these games are. Without a doubt, I have to mention Street Fighter VI. Yes, we got a bunch of the classic Street Fighter games on the Switch, but any of the modern ones, it wasn't even worth bringing up in conversation. Like, no way are these going to play on the Switch. So there was a rumor that Street Fighter VI was coming over, which I thought interesting, but then when they first showed these games off in like the Switch 2 Direct, and then to see the actual quality of the game once it came out, again, I know I'm biased and I haven't played this game on other consoles, but playing on the Switch 2 is a dream. Now we can all say the game looks amazing and it's impressive and it's super fun to play, but here's something very interesting to keep in mind. The Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Street Fighter VI is so high quality that it's actually approved for tournaments. And you have to understand, if you are playing Street Fighter VI professionally or in a tournament, there has to be a certain standard of quality, right? And now that we know the Switch 2 edition of Street Fighter VI meets those standards, what else do I need to say here, right? This is just so damn impressive. So a series that we finally got the tail end of the Switch's life cycle was Yakuza, and I believe we only got Yakuza Kiwami, and that was my first Yakuza game ever. And it was fun, but I always wanted to play one of the better games that were more impressive, that had better graphics and just maybe a better story. I can't really say for sure, I've only played a few of these games now, but we have Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. This is a game that I actually played maybe last month or the month before. It took me a little while to get around to it, but the old saying could not be more true, better late than never. Because once I started playing this, it was a game I could not put down. And again, it was a game that I would just stop and look around everywhere. Like, yeah, there's a really interesting story, and the gameplay is really fun, and there's all these like goofy side quests and just little challenges that you can do. But I would just find myself over and over stopping and looking around. And I really felt like I was like a tourist or something sometimes, because I would just walk around and take in all the sights. And it's like, oh wait, I need to fight these people. Or oh wait, I have a mission or a challenge I need to go do. But, you know, this building looks pretty interesting, and I can walk into the store and buy some stuff. Oh, there's a little fun arcade over here. So yeah, it's just an incredible game. And another great thing about this game is it's a prequel to Yakuza Kiwami. So chronologically, it's the first in the series. So if you're looking to get into the Yakuza series, you could not pick a better game, especially being able to play this handheld or dock to the TV on your Switch 2. Now earlier, I already mentioned it, but Ubisoft is performing miracles on the Switch 2. And another game I was not sure about was Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is the newest Assassin's Creed game. And, you know, again, if you're not a fan of the gameplay, or you just don't like Assassin's Creed games, one thing they're able to do is build and craft out beautiful worlds and landscapes. And they did that in Assassin's Creed Shadows. This takes place in like ancient Japan or whatever it's called when it's a couple hundred years old. This takes place back in the day though. And this one is really unique because you play through two separate characters. Like you'll switch between them and they each have their own playstyle. Like one of them is a sneaky little ninja, and then another character is just a badass samurai. And just like I was saying with Star Wars Outlaws, how Ubisoft is continuously supporting that, they're doing the same thing with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like, I think the game already looked great, but recently in an update, they made the water look even better, fixed some other textures, fixed some bugs, added some other stuff in, and it's just really great to see that this game is doing so well, because this definitely means we're going to get all the other Assassin's Creed games over. So hats off to Ubisoft for really putting in the work in their Switch 2 ports, and putting out some of the most impressive Switch 2 games so far. And for the last entry, I'm going to sneak in another Nintendo game that if you didn't buy a Switch 2 day one, you probably don't even know about. But it's a game called Fast Fusion. This is a sequel to, I think the game was called Fast RMX, that was on the Switch, which was also fantastic. But there's a couple great things about this game. One, it is fully priced at $15, which is almost unheard of. Two, the graphics look incredible. Hands down, one of the best looking Switch 2 games by far. And I have a theory that even after 5 years of the Switch 2 being out, this will still be one of the best looking Switch 2 games. But graphics aren't everything, you know. Not only does this game look amazing, it plays amazing. You are racing super high speed all over these really interesting courses, and the whole world is zooming by you. And the game just holds up and doesn't stutter, and the frame rates are super stable. And I could be wrong. I know this game is 60 frames per second, but I almost want to say there's a 120 frames per second mode as well. This game has a really unique gimmick, which is in the title, Fast Fusion, and you will fuse two cars together and make a new car, and that car will have like better stats or abilities or whatever. So you want to keep doing that over and over and experimenting. And essentially, it's just kind of like a modern version of an F-Zero game. It's an incredible racing game with great graphics, even better performance, and it's fully priced at $15. Ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, these are the 10 most impressive Switch 2 games so far. They kind of tell you what the Switch 2 is all about, right? And like I was saying, I had to take some games off, add some on. So maybe some of the games you expected to see on this list are not on this list. So in the comments below, I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know what your most impressive Switch 2 games so far are. Because I feel like everybody's list will be completely different. And remember, if you made it all the way to this part of the video, if you could do me a favor, hit a like and subscribe on the way out. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter so we can keep these communities growing. And if you could consider becoming a channel member, it would just mean the world to me. And you guys know me, I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace.